What's up, guys? I'm Uncle Freedom, coming to you on another glorious and well-deserved day off, the only day off that I have right now because I am leaving out next week as I film this, heading over to the FLETC Federal Law Enforcement Training Center's program for active shooter instructors. Should be a good time, just adding more stuff that I like to do. So today, we're going to take a look at something that it kind of hides in the background. We don't talk about it a lot, and that is the expectation. Ow. Did y'all see that? Of performance. I just hit a giant box of bullets, in case you're wondering. The expectation of performance is literally our self-deluding belief that I can buy performance by buying parts or buying things like a Staccato. This is really rampant across the entire internet gun community. We are incredibly guilty of this. Look at this thing, by the way, right? We're guilty of this. And the reason we do it is because we hear things a lot. And those things are things like, oh man, is that JPC? Yeah, oh, it's a 1.0. Pff, man, those suck. The 2.0 is where it's at, man. Everybody's heard that statement made at least once. And the thing is, we're our own worst enemy when it comes here, because what we're essentially doing is that. Another one I hear is that you can't run whatever this budget AR is because that'll get you killed and they just don't work. And that is usually spoken by somebody that has very little to no time on a platform. We're going to get back to that in just a second because that one's going to make some people mad. A new one that I've been hearing recently is that serious shooters do not trust Hollow Sun. Real shooters shoot Trigicon, and that acro is a piece of junk that fails all the time. Aim point, miss the boat. It's a terrible optics system. I hear this a lot. Like, I've been hearing this a lot of times. And then you have the other side of this argument, which is you've wasted all your money on that, whatever, insert your AR brand there. My PSA is just as good. I got 500 rounds on it with no malfunctions. 500 rounds isn't even a class. So, and then the other one for this side of just as good is nylon, man. My Condor plate carrier will do everything that your Velocity Systems plate carrier will do. And there is some truth to the fact that they will both, in fact, hold plates to your body. But that's the dichotomy, right? That is how our gun community works. And the problem is it's not how it should work. We should be encouraging people to seek out the best option available or possible from a position of superior intellect and knowledge, meaning you actually have hands-on experience with that thing that you are now telling somebody else that they should or shouldn't use because you've experienced it. But also a part of that is being smart enough to know that just because you had an acro that failed, the overwhelming majority of acros that are out there on the streets aren't failing. People tell me all the time, well, it's all over the internet right now. These acros are failing. No, it's only all over the internet right now is because it is so much more easy for us to grasp onto the 2 or 3 that failed in a very short amount of time, and they're all over the internet right now. When in reality, there are tens of thousands of these things out in the hands of guys like me that are putting a ton of rounds downrange on a weekly basis and carrying them on duty, and they're not failing. That's where we get into that. There's a lot of truth to the sample size of 1, and we are kind of the own worst enemy in the sample size of 1. We are really quick to make a statement that something is a piece of junk because 1 failed with some guy over there under circumstances that we don't know because we weren't present. And it failed in an environment that we have no knowledge of because they don't ever put that out. We form incredibly strong opinions to anything that has to do with money we have spent or are going to spend. And what that really leads us to is you will have guys that will finally save up the money and get a good optic like an acro or an RMR or an SRO or even a Hollow Sun. They will save that money up. They will get an optic and join the optic gang, and then they will put that thing they'll put it on their Glock and go to show it off to people, only to be told by the masses that literally 7 days prior told them that the acro was bomb-proof, that they're wrong and it's a piece of crap, and they're literally parroting something that another internet personality said, with zero abject like experience on the thing. Here's the deal with that. I place a lot of respect in people's opinions, but I also understand that that's exactly what they are. They are opinions formed around something they may have seen or a personal experience they had, good or bad, in a short term kind of situation. But that's what we've done. And what happens is one thing will go wrong, and then the entire internet gun community will grab onto that one thing and parrot that over and over and over again to the point where it literally becomes gospel. And this thing that was touted as the best there is now not. And that's not just the acro. You see that with staccatos. I remember when staccatos were wholly unreliable, and they fixed that. They're not anymore. I mean, they're great, great freaking guns. But there is an expectation of performance with a staccato that may not exist with your PSA dagger. We are in a race, a constant, unequivocal race to spend all of our freaking money in an effort to impress people on the internet that we've never met in person, will probably never meet in person, and most importantly, that won't be shooting whatever gun that we have built out for ourselves. You will see this in the comment section of a lot of my videos, people that are very mad that I would recommend something like a ramjet or an acro, and they will tell me how that's a piece of crap because of X, Y, and Z, and I have heard that. I will tell you that all optics fail. Given enough time and enough of a sample size, I can find you literally every optic on the planet has failed at some point. The Steiner APS, the RMR Type 2, the SRO. People have a short memory for these things. I remember when the RMR Type 2, the adjustments were just going bad on them at like 1,500 rounds. It happens, right? It's a piece. You remember a couple of years ago, the Holosun 509, the glass was falling out of the 509. Like nobody understood why, but it was happening. But it hasn't happened in a while, so we've just stopped talking about it. If you really want to impress me with your gear, go shoot, right? Go out to the range, go train. Because this is cool, but if I can't shoot this accurately and reliably, this is a piece of crap. It's a very expensive like cosplay toy because I don't actually have experience on the item. So where do we get our expectation of performance? Where does that come from? Well, sadly, what it used to be was milcert. The expectation of people when they bought milsurp equipment was that it's what the government issued, which means that it was built to a specific standard, not necessarily an overreaching, very good standard, but a standard nonetheless. It met the criteria for that standard. And that stuff was deemed to be the best thing you could buy. And when you bought those things, whether that was an original Gore-Tex parka or something like that, you had an expectation that the performance of that item that you had no experience with prior to was going to be that it was going to work. We see this in the gun community with things like BCM, Daniel Defense, Radian, LMT, Knights. Here's the thing. Does Knight make really good guns? Yes, Knights makes phenomenal guns. However, the expectation is that if you buy a Knight's gun, that you will become a better shooter. Sad reality of this is most shooters, the overwhelming majority of shooters, will be completely fine with your budget Freedom Series PSA because they will never put enough stress on that platform itself to find the failure points within that platform. And that's where we see problems because those people will now go onto the internet and tell everybody how great and bomb-proof this Palmetto State Armory $400 rifle is. When in reality, for that guy, it may be perfect. And for most shooters, it may be just fine. But if you are one of the upper echelon of shooters, not even in skill set, but just in the amount of training and work that you put in, that $400 rifle is not going to survive. You will absolutely destroy it in a short amount of time, beating on it the way we beat on our firearms. That is the reason like I trust everything with Glock because these things are not infallible. Glocks fail, but they don't fail a lot. And they have a very proven track record that they can be almost indestructible. So does that mean that your Taurus G2C is just as good as a Glock 26 or a 43X? Or does that mean that your Palmetto State Armory Freedom $500 complete AR is just as good as a LaRue Pret AR or a Knight's gun or a BCM gun, or Radiant or Sons of Liberty Gunworks or Centurion Arms, does that mean that PSA is that good? Because it may fill all of the needs you'll ever have. Or is Bear Creek Arsenal that good? Because, well, I mean, I haven't seen a failure in mine, so that means all of them must be good. No, they're not just as good. They're never marketed as just as good. Palmetto State Armory was never marketed to compete head to head with Knights or BCM or LMT or Centurion Arms. They just weren't. It was an option that existed for people to test the waters or to arm more people, as PSA is so kind of famous for saying. That's what they do. When we look at firearms and an expectation of performance, including plate carriers, belt rigs, all this stuff, and holsters, we have to decide what kind of a shooter we really are attempting to be. Are you only going to fire 1,000 rounds over a period of 5 years? You're not going to need much to do that. However, do you expect that platform to survive kind of the Teotihuacan scenario and defend your land and freedom and your family from all comers? Will it survive that? When we buy things, so I am a big advocate. I highly recommend you having a very, very good AR, from a good brand. LaRue, LMT, something. I need you to have a good, solid, mid-tier or above AR platform that is not brand new, that has thousands of rounds on it, so that you have vetted every single component of that firearm and you know that it will work. But make no mistake, when I order a BCM quad rail, like a QRF 16-inch BCM, I am expecting the performance of that BCM to be at a certain level. And I will absolutely be disappointed if it is not. But where we hit a problem with this, yes, BCMs are great. If you buy a Douglas stainless 18-inch barrel, the same barrel we used in the Mark 12, that barrel with good ammo is 100%. The performance of that barrel is sub-MOA. Where we have a problem is we don't have the skill set to actually see the difference between, hey, this is a sub-minute barrel, it does all of this. You may never see the difference between your 16-inch PSA or your 18-inch PSA gun and an 18-inch Douglas barreled Mark 12. But just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We do this to ourselves. We spend $3,000 to build out this thing with the expectation that it's going to give me better performance, because after all, it does have a high quality dot. It has really good sights. It has a very good light. It has a comp on it. It has an aftermarket trigger. We are fully expecting, when we purchase something like this and build it out, that the performance level that it will grant me is higher than that of a stock Glock 45. And in the right hands, it does. But if you don't hit things at 25 yards when you shoot at them, I don't care what I hand you, you're not going to start hitting things consistently at 25 yards. Because the fact is, all of that super unsexy drill stuff that we do with rifles and handguns and shotguns develops a fundamentals platform and a base level foundation for how good we are as a shooter. And at that point, the thing that we are getting is simply a tool in which to make us a better version of ourselves. I can hand Jerry Michalek a awful freaking handgun and he will run that gun like a scalded dog. Why? Because he is a phenomenal shooter with very good foundational fundamentals, and you're not, right? I'm not going to outrun Michalek on any firearms platform known to man. That dude has a registered machine gun finger, okay? But I understand that, and I understand that that is a limitation that exists compared to other things. I know that's not what I am, but the fact that he can handle anything and run it like a scalded dog tells me it's a lot more about the Indian behind said arrow than it is what kind of arrow you made. This has just been eating at me a little bit, because I have seen this a lot recently. The people bashing Hollow Sun, the people that are bashing acros, and they're bashing them because recently a few acros have failed, and they've been all over the news, right? They've been all in our feeds and everything like that. But the fact is, we don't know anything about the scenario in which that failed, because I got news for you. I can kill an RMR too. And if I just post it up, you're going to be like, RMRs are having quality problems, when I did something royally stupid that broke that thing. Internet is not reality. Internet is a good gateway to see things. And I've had people that have talked about the fact that I advocate for normalized asking questions of other gun owners to get the best advice you can. That's right. Because I do what I do here with these videos because I want you to be better informed, more dangerous, a better human being, and a protector of those around you. Because if I can complete that task and give you better information, then you'll be a better protector that can then pass on that information to the next generation, so we don't ever find ourselves living under King's rule, because that would suck. So expectations of performance, yeah, it's always going to be there. If I buy a high-end bolt gun, I expect it to be a sub-MOA bolt gun. If I buy a $300 bolt gun, I am not expecting that thing to make accurate sub-MOA shots at 500 yards. I'm just not. But fortunately, technology's come so far at such a high rate of speed that even our inexpensive options are capable of accuracy that our high-end options weren't capable of 10 years ago. But I'm going to say it as it is. No, your PSA is not just as good as my LaRue gun. Yes, I could probably take your PSA and run it faster and more accurately than you can, but that's my fundamentals. And I actually can see the benefits of a LaRue barrel as opposed to a PSA barrel. If you can't, don't be discouraged. Train, practice, work harder, because eventually you will find the limits of your specific item. And then you can make a better informed decision on how to move forward, purchasing better items to make you a better, more dangerous version of yourself. So guys, I am Uncle Freedom. As always, those links down there below help me out if you use them. If you buy anything through those links, it helps me and it doesn't cost you any extra. Patreon is also live. It's going to be some stuff coming. I've just got a lot of work stuff in the pipeline right now. So guys, I am Uncle Freedom. Take care of yourself, take care of each other. And until next time, I'll see you later.